welcome to Make Your Passion Pay. I'm Luann Beekler, creator of the Make Your Passion Pay Playbook, your host and guide on this exciting journey to building joyful and successful work environments. Known as the Little Spark, I've helped countless individuals and businesses ignite their potential through transformational coaching, creating thriving businesses and joyful workplaces. I have experienced the challenges of leaving toxic workplaces and building something better. I bring firsthand wisdom to help you align your work with your values. With insights drawn from working alongside world-renowned leaders and a deep passion for community and connection, I'm here to show you how to lead with joy and purpose. Let's dive into today's episode and start making your passion pay. Hey everybody, hope you're having a great day. This is Luann B with Make Your Passion Pay. We talk about the 6 C's to make your passions pay. They are clarity, connection, community, collaboration, creativity, and commitment. And oh yes, the core values that runs through all of those. Super excited to have Lance Cayko with us today from F9 Productions. He is an architect, builder, podcaster also, an entrepreneur, and he is definitely passionate about the work that he does in all of his roles. So I'm so excited to have you here today, Lance.
I'm so excited to be here. Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. And you are in Longmont, Colorado?
Longmont, yep, which is just north of Denver by about 30 minutes, east of Boulder by 20.
Got it. Excellent. I'm sure it's a beautiful spot in the world.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Yep, we look at the mountains every day.
Oh, lucky. What a blessing. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Lance, and your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, well, I'm 43. I just turned 43. My entrepreneurial journey started 30 years ago. Now I can finally say, like the rest of the guys on the job site, hey, I've been doing this for 30 years, as if that really matters, because maybe you've been doing it wrong for 30 years. I grew up between a cattle ranch and a sugar beet farm in northwest North Dakota. Grew up pretty poor, lower middle class, and had a lot of anxiety around money. I remember my mom and dad just one time I ran up a bill dialing long distance for internet, and it was like $1,000 bill, and you would have thought that I was going to go to jail, with their reaction and everything. So I tried farming when I was 13 with my dad. Lasted a couple days, maybe a week, and it wasn't that I didn't like farming. I even have a nonprofit community garden now that does urban gardening all over the place in the city I live and work in. But what I didn't like, I just didn't get along with my dad, and the work really wasn't appealing to me at that time. So I quit, and I said, "Hey, don't worry, I've got a replacement. My best friend Chris, he'll love to do this with you. Not me though. I'm gonna call up your best friend Bruce." And Bruce is a general contractor. Bruce is the first entrepreneur that I ever met, and it was just a lasting impression I had with him, and vice versa. So I called him up and I said, "Hey, I'd love to try construction. What do you got? I'll do whatever." And he goes, "Oh, cool. I got a big contract this summer. We're going to do 80 roofs. We're going to do one a day. You'll be my gopher. I'll pay $7.25 an hour." And I go, "Cool. What's a gopher?" And he goes, "Well, you're going to go for this, go for that. When you're done, go for the things. You can get up on the roof and learn how to roof." And Luann, I was the best gopher he ever had.
I love it.
Yeah, because I was determined to learn a skill. And I just completely fell in love with the industry, the camaraderie, the masculinity, the danger of building and all of that. And Bruce took a liking to me. He pulled me aside about halfway through the summer and he goes, "Hey, paying you $7.25 an hour. What do you think I'm charging the owners every hour that I pay you?" And I go, $7.25 an hour. And he laughed and I was embarrassed. And he taught me about the multiplier. He goes, "No, I 2 to 4 times your labor is what I'm charging them." And I go, "Isn't that immoral?" And he laughed and I was embarrassed again. And he explained profit, overhead, risk, the reward for being an entrepreneur in a service-based industry like that. And then I noticed I sort of had a rich dad, poor dad experience, even before, decades before I read the book. I read the book about 10 years ago, and looking back at that experience, I went, oh, Bruce doesn't have this anxiety around money like my dad does.
Mm.
I want that path. So at the end of the summer, Bruce pulls me aside one more time and he goes, what do you want to be when you get big? And I go, I don't want to take your job. I just want to do what you do in my own way. How do I do that? And he goes, well, next summer you don't work for me then. Next summer you go work for another general contractor and you learn a different trade. And I mean, for a man to say that, it's very
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, it's very hard to find help. I mean, I'm a GC now, obviously, and boy, that'd be a tough one for me to swallow too and cough it up, but I'm grateful for it. So I did that. I did it religiously from 13 to about 2021. I even went to tech school after college, or sorry, after high school, and for building construction tech
Yeah.
in Wapaton to try to be a general contractor. And our capstone project was building a house. And I'd pulled out blueprints for the first time. And the word architect popped into my head. And I had an epiphany at 20. And I mean, praise be to God for it, because that's really where it comes from. I went, oh, if I love school suddenly, and I'm good at it actually. And I was like learning how to get paid to do it because I was winning all these scholarships. I was finally like a good student. And well, what if I became an architect next? And like I could get the clients first as an architect, and then maybe convince them to help let me build it too. I get paid two times. Again, like fleeing from this idea of an anxiety of not having money,
Right.
hand to mouth. So I did that. Applied to North Dakota State, graduated top of the class there, and in my fourth year there, capstone again, the word developer came in to my psyche. It was another lightning bolt from above, and I went, oh, I've never heard of a real estate developer. I what if I become that too? And we eventually did. I'm sitting in our first real estate development that we did in our office in our building. So that was sort of my trajectory to trying to wear all three hats and where I'm at today.
Wow. Architect developer, you got to add a title to that list that I read earlier.
Yeah,
And general contractor for my audience, by the way, that's what GC stands for, general contractor. Sometimes those acronyms get lost on people. I love this drive from fleeing from the anxiety around money because I think that a lot of people become entrepreneurs for freedom of time and money.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it was very instrumental for me I was a single dad at one point. My first wife abandoned us for about 3.5 years. We had no family around, and I never missed a field trip. It enabled me to be there for my very young children at the time, 100%. And now I really try to put into the ether, especially as an entrepreneur, and you're citing that is the phrase work-life balance has bugged me quite a bit on the past 20 years because
Yeah.
it conjures up an image of a scale in my head,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm trading. It's like, oh, am I really trading? Am I really horse trading here?
It
You know,
always
and
it always puts you in the struggle, Lance. And so I agree with you on that language. I don't like that language. That's why when you're really passionate about what you're doing, when you can do it as your own entrepreneur, right? It does give you that freedom of time and money that people are looking for.
yeah. So the phrase I've been trying to introduce to folks when I do shows like yours or even mine is, what about work-life harmony? Doesn't
Ah,
that feel better? Isn't
perfect.
that much better?
I
I
love
think that's
that.
the way to do it. Let's move towards a work-life harmony. And it cascades down to my employees too. We try to provide a work-life harmony structure for them. In fact, we do work from home Wednesdays. That's their day if they have to go to an appointment or something, and personal thing that they need to take care of. They can do that. They can do that so long as they get their 9 hours in that day. It's sort of what we try to accomplish here.
And Lance, how do you monitor that or manage that being, historically people punched a time clock. And now, since the pandemic, we don't necessarily see our people every day. So I'm
Mhm.
curious on how you handle that commitment of the 8 hours and still have work at home Wednesdays.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's trust. So we are trusting that our employees are not taking advantage of us because we are not taking advantage of them. So there has to be the mutual trust.
Love that.
And the new employees, when they come in, they have to work in the office full time for 6 months, and we monitor their performance to see if they're ready to go or not. And then they basically get the next 6 months are sort of a trial period. If they pass that, then they can go forth and prosper on the work from home Wednesdays.
That is excellent. I love that model.
Yeah,
And I
thank
love
you.
the work-life harmony. We're going to use that moving forward in the future. Thanks
Yeah,
for sharing that.
great, great.
Absolutely. You had some other what I'll call physical laws that you talked to me about when we visited before. Tell the audience about that.
Yeah, well, so it's the law of polarity, which is an actual law of physics, but I didn't know about that title of that law until I had been on many different shows, and finally, this wonderful woman who was interviewing me, as I was describing things that were happening in my life, what I was telling her is I go, I've read this book. It's called Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and this is about 4 or 5 years ago. And I said it changed my life because a big portion of my life, and I think a lot of us as we become adults, as we realize like, oh, we're the adults now. What's the truth behind adulthood?
Mm.
Is it actually that much different than the children, right? And one of the falsifications I had in my head was this idea of stoicism. I thought stoicism would just be me and Luann just looking at each other, not talking, keeping a poker face. And after I read that book, it's like, no, that's actually not it at all. Like it's a deeper thing. And so for me, what it then became it became how do you influence? You can try to spend your energy only on things that you can actually influence within your sphere of influence, right? So take for instance like voting on these big elections and stuff. It's one vote, and sure you can make the argument. People try their best. They're like, well, if your one vote might actually get him or her or he or whatever elected and stuff like that. And I go, yeah, maybe. But like the problem with that example and that vote is how much time and energy have I put into now rallying other people to go vote with me, or I go vote and then it's like my team, and then I've got all this invested energy. And if I'm let down or I'm surprised or whatever, and really what it is like, well, what can I actually influence then instead? I can influence myself in as it relates to my morning routine. I know we're going to talk about the golden hour eventually here. I can influence my friends, my family, my business, and maybe my local community. And if I'm concentrating there, I'm going to have a much better impact on it. So with that mindset of stoicism, then when you enter these periods of negative and positive, which is the law of polarity of if I have a really bad day, my children asked me this once. They go like, when do you get scared? About 2 or 3 years ago, we were at dinner and I said, they go, you never seem like you're scared, Dad. And I go, oh, I get scared. And they go, when do you get scared? And I go, when everything's going perfectly, actually. Because I know that I feel like the rug might get pulled out from me. Because when everything's going really well, I'm experiencing the positive side of the law of polarity. Because that's the way the universe works. It has to. There has to be a negative, there has to be a positive, it has to be light, it has to be dark, it has to be fire, there has to be water. And I
Has to be
go,
good, has to be evil.
yep, 100%. Yeah, you can't believe in just evil and not good. It just doesn't work, right?
Well, when we don't understand good unless we know evil. And
Yeah, yeah,
understand dark unless we know light or vice versa, right? Is
yep.
what you're getting at. And I think one of the what it's bringing home for me actually is and kind of flipping the switch. I think many entrepreneurs feel more bad days or struggles just because the world sets it up that way, right? Like we always feel we're in a struggle and go, well, when the really bad days come, know that the next thing that's coming is really good days.
Bingo. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I ended up telling my children as I go, when I'm actually really excited and happy is when I'm having a bad day because I've learned stoicism and I know that I just have to keep my wits about me. I have to not let the external things that are going badly spike my cortisol levels, remain calm through it, sleep, wake up, and it almost every single time in my life, the next day is like something astounding will happen in such a positive way that I'm not even expecting. And thankfully I didn't burn the bridges in that bad day.
Yeah, I want to point something out that you said there. Remain calm through it. Because when we lock up, get contracted, stress out, freak out, whatever language you want to use, the feeling you get, right? That tightness in your chest or your gut, then we are blocking up the good from coming in. So understanding the law of polarity and being able to talk yourself through that bad day, going, oh, what good is coming next? I just had a client reach out and say, they're done. They're done with coaching. They've made it where they want to be with me. And instead of feeling badly, because of course I've built a relationship over years with this person, instead of feeling badly, I immediately went to, oh, what new door is this going to open for me for a new and wonderful client that I get to work with?
Yeah, or like what lesson is God teaching me in the negative part that I can learn from? It's not just
Which,
one-sided. Yeah.
which is always what it is. It's always a lesson,
Hmm.
During the pandemic, I really focused on what are we learning from this situation that we need to be reminded of because there's something, right? Instead of just burying my head in the sand, I was looking for the good that was coming out of that situation. And all of a sudden, I started to see families playing together in their yards again and neighbors coming together outside that you just didn't see before.
Hmm. Yeah, it's incredible.
All right, so you talked about your kids a couple of times. You have four children, right?
Yeah, two stepchildren and two biological children. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. And the golden hours relate to your ability to spend time with those children.
Yeah, 100%. And it started when I had my first child, Kyler, when I was 21. So very young, and I don't regret it. Now I'm 43 and he's 21 and I'm still young and strapping and can go on all these crazy adventures and hikes in the mountains and all that good stuff. Still have a lot of energy. But what it did do is this is sort of law of polarity stuff is like I was like, whoa, I'm having a child. Okay. What do I have to change in my life now? There's something that I'm going to have to change in my life in order to be able to continue going to architecture school, which is very time intensive. It's rigorous. It takes a lot of time and energy. And I went, plus you have a child, and you go like, I'm going to have to get up early. Yep, you sure do. So I started just becoming very disciplined with my time. And this is when I started like putting everything in my calendar, including personal stuff, and then taking my mornings extremely seriously because it was some of the only time I could carve out to be able to do very intense design exercises that take exponential kind of thinking and reasoning in your brain. And
Mm.
so I became that person that really embraced what I call now the golden hours. And I've carried that through over the past now almost 2.5 decades in my life. My wife will attest to this too. She goes, you're so disciplined with your mornings. And you just consistently are up at 4 or 5, 6 a.m. before everybody else. And stick to your routine. And then she goes, I think that's one of the primary reasons why you're successful as an entrepreneur and you can still have the balance and harmony in your life with everything. And I go, I think you're right. So my morning routine it's evolved over the years for sure, right? Like I didn't do meditation or prayer for a long time, and then eventually I moved into waking up. Now it's wake up, get a big glass of water, put some electrolytes in it, rehydrate. Then I put the coffee pot on, and then I go pray the rosary every morning, stretch, get my blood flow going. By the time I'm done doing that, the coffee's ready. Then I get to my computer, and then that's where the work golden hours start between like 5 or 7 a.m. And what I think this is a very important part, I think, for entrepreneurs or people, or even especially solopreneurs. or managers or people that are in charge of and have to steer the world a little bit. I think if you don't do that, then what happens is once you hit once you hit 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., the world starts pulling you in its directions rather than you pulling it where it needs to go. So that's where all of my usual like creative business ideas, creative marketing ideas, business exploration, design ideas, and then even emails of me getting ahead of everybody else. So all of a sudden I'm in control as much as I can within my sphere,
Sure.
and the world's not pulling me by the time 8 a.m. runs comes around. I'm pulling it.
Right. So it's similar to, I believe the book is called Miracle Mornings.
Mm,
It's similar idea, and I love it. And I do the same. And I know the difference on the days when I jump
yeah,
out of bed and hit the ground running versus having that time to myself in the morning. It's super powerful.
very.
And there was one more philosophy you live by, top of mind.
I hadn't this is one that I've just formulated again after talking with folks like yourself over and over again, is because people would ask me all the time. I have a sort of some fanboys and fangirls from our show and stuff like that, and they'll reach out to us and they'll say, "Hey, you've inspired me to break free from this big corporate job and start my own company. I would like to replicate your success. But how do you do it all? Because in addition to all the business stuff, I'm a professional fisherman. I take people out on the weekends up in the mountains, friends, family, stuff like that. I have all these children like you talked about. I have a nonprofit. Um, I have to make time for my wife. Like they're like, how do you manage all of that stuff? And I used to say, Luann, I used to say, I schedule everything. And it was like, yeah, it's not a very sexy way to describe it. And it's true. I do schedule everything. But where it really, once I finally started like thinking about it more was, oh, I use top of mind mentality. Huh. And somebody else probably, came up with that phrase or whatever, but I've just really tried to own it now where it's as simple as, okay, if I'm when the world when 8 a.m. does hit and the world starts pulling me, it's going to no matter what a little bit. It's just you're trying to control the gravity a little bit with that morning routine. But when the world starts to pull me and I know there's tasks I need to do, the only anxiety I ever get now anymore is when it starts to pull me is if I let that task just fester.
Mm.
And instead, it's very simple stuff. It's like maybe I left the condo this morning to come across the alley to work, and right in my brain it goes, I look to the right and I went, oh, it's garbage day. I'll do that after I tackle these emails. Nope, drop the bag, go take the garbage out immediately, do it, done. That's top of mind mentality. And I'm not saying you need to run it every single whack-a-mole problem, but this is something that highly effective people do very often. Another example is I'll be walking around with my subcontractors and directing them to do work, whatever. They'll bring something up to me that I need to do. Hey, Lance, can you get us this specification? I'll go, yep, just hang on one second. I got to pause you. And I'll jump right into an email or a text thread and get it in motion. Sometimes it's even just scheduling emails that get sent to me the next day so I don't forget it. But then it's in motion and I can move on to the next problem.
So I think too, for me, I trust in my top of mind. That
Mm,
which comes to the top of my mind, okay, I need to address that now or take care of that. That's my priority in the moment if it's top of my mind. And all things in their right and perfect timing. So trust that it's going to flow and everything that long list of to-do things is going to get done in its right and perfect timing.
I love that you brought trusting it up because there's an esoteric part to this. And that is there's been so many times, and I've challenged you. I just posted this on LinkedIn, like it was a little clip that was something similar. It was my challenge to people that follow me and hear what I have to say. And that is, if you're trusting your top of mind with professional stuff, what about personal? So if somebody that you haven't thought of for a long time, could even be an enemy, if you have them, they come to your top of mind and you go, well, there's a reason for that. I make it a habit to reach out to that person, even if it's just text, hey, you just came to the top of my head. Thought I'd reach out and see how you're doing. So many times I've done that, and then people are like, dude, you don't even know how important it was that you reached out to me today in
Yeah.
that way. I was having such a bad day, or even a good day, or whatever. But there, to the fact that though you, a very busy, quote, important person, took a little bit of time out of your day to just extend yourself and reach out and let other people know they're not alone, I think is super powerful.
Yeah. I have a friend who just released a book in December called How to Be a Friend in an Unfriendly World. And he talked about that. And that's such a great reminder, right? Uh, no one does this alone. No one's an entrepreneur alone. No one lives life alone, right? We need each other and we can get lost in everything that's going on. And so using that top of mind mentality and trusting that when someone comes to mind, oh, I better reach out to them. I've actually got clients that way.
Oh
They're
my
like,
gosh.
you were in my audience months ago, and for some reason you came to my mind today. So I just thought I'd give you a call.
I
And
love
I go,
that.
oh my gosh, I so needed to talk to you today. Right?
Yeah,
So beautiful when those things happen.
it is.
And those aren't even in your core values directly, are they?
No, yeah, they're not.
There are other philosophies you live by. There's plenty of them, but that's the good tips we want to give you here on the podcast so that you can have a successful entrepreneurial life as well. But let's talk briefly about your core values today, Lance, because you don't call them core values. You call them foundational principles. And that's okay, right? Lots of people have different twists of language for them. Whatever you call them, underlying, they are core values. Just remember that. So, because I had one client say to me, or prospective client say, I don't think I have core values. And I'm like, they're on your website.
Hmm.
They're on your website and you call them promises, but that's your promise and what you're going to deliver. So tell us about yours.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up about the other client too, because you're right. Some people don't think they have them. And the other thing I always try to point out to any young entrepreneurs who are just starting or even fairly seasoned ones that don't think they have them, or maybe they literally don't either. They aren't stating them in their own way on their website. Is it's okay actually to not have them right away. Like it's okay to be organic about it and get there through trial and error because that's exactly what we did. So we have these awesome at nine principles that you just mentioned. It correlates with our company F9 Productions. There's nine of them. Um, and we came up with them organically. I'll just kind of rattle them off real quickly and focus on a few if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
First one's F1, be brilliant at the basics. F2, model it like it gets built. That's kind of nerdy architecture speak. But when we were so young starting our firm, this is how it organically developed was we had to convince people to trust us without any built work that they can trust us with their $1 million house or building. So we modeled it in the computer like it was going to get built, and that convinced clients at a very young age that we could do. And now we've just carried that through, and it saves people time, money, effort. It makes better products for us at the end.
I love it.
F3 is training is a force multiplier. F4, communicate. And this is a big one for us. We respond. Everybody is trained at our office. We have to respond to people within 1 hour after a point of contact even if we don't have the big full answer, because we get really technical questions in our profession.
Sure.
But we at least acknowledge their presence and say, "Hey, got it. We'll get back to you with a longer answer tomorrow. Please, I'm taxed today, but I see you. I've heard you. I am happy to help solve the problem." That has gone. That's they're not. These aren't ordered in importance, but I will say that one has probably been our biggest differentiator between us and many other architects and designers because we get a lot of frustrated clients that have fired their former architect or builder and they're like, I can't get a hold of this guy or gal. Like, I hired them and they will not answer my emails, texts, phone calls, whatever. It's just bonkers.
I just heard a story like that.
Did you?
Woman who hired a contractor, general contractor, to redo the inside of her condo, and then she couldn't get a hold of him. She paid him like thousands of dollars, and then he wasn't responding to her, and it ended up becoming a legal matter in that
Oh
case.
yeah.
Right? Every missed phone call, every missed connection is a loss in trust.
Yeah.
And today's world that's gone so overboard technology wise, that response in 1 hour has to be huge.
Huge. Huge. Yeah, for sure. F5 is serve the client, the contractor, and the city. We're very much servants. It's a client-based service business, so we just really want to emphasize that for folks internally and externally. F6, take extreme ownership. Took us a while, again, on this one, even of going, it's okay for us to say we don't know. Like if we get something, if we get a question and we don't know the answer to, boy, I think a lot of rookies, and that's okay. It takes a while for you to get the confidence to go, I don't know, but I will look into that for you. And that's actually bigger confidence builder than kind of foo-fooing around the answer
Yes, and
sort of
your way
thing.
through it.
Yeah. A BS, and there you go. I was trying to censor myself. Thank you for that. F7, it really relates to like us as architects and builders, build the world. F8, deliver value to be valuable. And then F9 maybe is a kind of a perfect punctuation point on the whole thing is have fun. If we're not having fun, there's no point to this at all. There
That's
really
right.
isn't. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, I love that. Yeah, if you're not having fun in the work that you're doing, folks, it's time to turn the channel. Find out what you're passionate about and set off on a new adventure because we have the power to change what's happening in our lives anytime that we
Yep.
want to. And fun is so important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and you said something earlier, like it's okay for those core values to grow organically, but don't wait too long,
Yeah.
right? Because it is the foundation on which everything is built. And it is an attractor to the people that you do business with. And that's what you said about the one earlier, right? That the build one
Yeah.
model it gets built, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That we hadn't even built anything yet, but the very statement of that said to people, these guys are serious and they have talent, right? So those core values are an attractor to build your customer base as well. And when you're confident about what those are, people feel confidence in you and you start to build that trust.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it just and the other thing too, I think is you're right. Don't wait too long, and also you can modify them. Like maybe you shoot from the hip and then you go, yeah, a year later, let's modify this one. It can change. It's your business. You get to do whatever you want.
That's right. Absolutely. I love too what you've done there, mostly phrases. You still have a descriptor after them. A lot of companies use one word
Mm,
like honesty or integrity, and I'm like, really hope we don't have to use those words only, right? That doesn't put them into action. I hope we all have honesty and integrity. But
yeah.
having that phrase that makes it actionable on how we deliver to our clients is so important. And I just noticed on the bottom of the page on your website where the principles are listed, it says, if you can't remember all of these, start with the basics. Be professional, respond quickly, and over deliver. Love it. I'd
Thank
call
you.
I'd call that a tagline.
Yeah, and it's like you're right. If it was just a word or a couple words, it's a platitude, and platitudes mean nothing without action.
Thank you for that language as well. This has been amazing, Lance. I have a feeling we could talk for a lot longer. Maybe we'll have you back again another time for another conversation.
Thank you so much for having me on the show today. This was a great interview. I appreciate your time.
Remember to look up F9 Productions. They don't build for everyone, but they build for the best. Everybody have a great day. Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in to Make Your Passion Pay. If today's episode inspired you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a rating, and share your thoughts in a review. Every listener makes a difference in spreading this mission of joy and purpose. Want to take the next step? Share this episode with your friends, colleagues, or anyone looking to build a thriving, values-driven workplace. Together, we can create communities where passion fuels success. Until next time, remember, when you lead with joy, you inspire greatness. Let's keep making your passion pay.